As you can see on this slide, there is a very short article. You can also see that there are certain inserts, and those inserts such as la voix passive, infinitive passé, l'imparfait, conditionnel passé, le passé composé, les verbes pronominaux, les gérondifs, these are placed right above that grammatical expression, and we will go through that. So let me first read in English what this article means. But first, actually, I'm going to read it in French. Une femme dans les trentaines a été arrêtée à Saguenay après avoir volé un dépanneur et commis des voies de fait à l'endroit d'un bébé naissant. Elle aurait notamment dirigé violemment la poussette où se trouvait l'enfant de 3 semaines vers une voiture stationnée. Le bébé n'a heureusement eu aucune blessure. La suspecte s'est ensuite dirigée vers un dépanneur du boulevard du Saguenay où elle a notamment dérobé plusieurs objets de valeur en utilisant la force. So, what does it mean in English? A woman in her 30s was arrested in Saguenay after stealing in a convenience store and assaulted a newborn baby. In particular, she would have violently directed the stroller where the 3-week-old to a parked car. The baby has fortunately suffered any injuries or had no injuries. The suspect then went to a convenience store on the Boulevard de Saguenay where she notably stole several objects of value using force. So let's start with the first sentence. Une femme dans les trentaines a été arrêtée. As you can see above a été arrêtée, I have made a note, la voix passive. What does that mean? This grammatical expression is actually passé composé or present perfect tense, but it's in a passive form. So we do know that when we use the passé composé, we have to use auxiliary avoir, and in this case it will be auxiliary a because it's a third person singular. Then we have to use été and the verb arrêter, which is in the past participle, and since it is a feminine, we have to add additional e. A été arrêté. If it was a man, it would be just a été arrêté, but there will be only one e at the end. So this is la voix passive. What is also important to know is that in the passive voice, we always have to make sure, always, that there is an accord at the end of that verb with the subject, which in this case is une femme. Next one, après avoir volé. What is that? This is infinitive passé. In the infinitive passé, we use auxiliary avoir in its normal or nominative form, which is as an infinitive, and voler is the past participle of the verb voler. Next one. Okay, so next one, what we have? Elle aurait notamment dirigé. This is a conditionnel passé. We use past conditional in the situations where, and specifically this one, where allegedly something must have happened according to the news, according to the witness statement, etc. In that case, we have to use conditional or past conditional or conditional passé. In that case, we use auxiliary avoir in the present conditional form, which is aurait, plus we have to use the past participle, which in this case is diriger. Next one, où se trouvait. As you can see, that's l'imparfait. We have to use this l'imparfait because it describes the situation in the past. So in that case, when she violently attacked the baby, that baby was at that specific place. So he was there, he was being there. So for a certain period of time, he was there. And when we use l'imparfait, we always describe the situation that something was taking place in the past. So that's why we have to use l'imparfait. Okay. Next one we have voiture stationné. This is a passive form. And again, when we use the passive form, we use more or less past participle. At the end of stationné we have extra e. Why? Because voiture is feminine. Donc la voiture stationnée. Now she. Le bébé n'a heureusement eu aucune blessure. This is le passé composé. In the passé composé we use auxiliary avoir in the present tense, and since this is le bébé, that's the third person, we have to use a. Since this is negative, we have to use obviously ne, negative ne. And after heureusement eu, that means that's the past participle of the verb avoir. So the baby didn't have any injuries. Next one. La suspect s'est ensuite dirigée. S'est ensuite dirigée, what we can see here, this is the le verb pronominal, reflexive verbs. We know that with the reflexive verbs, we always have to use auxiliary être. And in this case, it's auxiliary être, and it is also in passé composé. And we also know that if we use être, they always have to be accord of that past participle with the subject. La suspect is feminine. Donc, c'est ensuite dirigé. Dirigé is past participle. And because la suspect is feminine, we have to add extra e. Okay. And next one is elle a notamment dérobé. This is again passé composé. And it is not linked to any movement or reflexive verbs. We have to use in that case auxiliary avoir. And because it is elle, third person singular is a, what avoir, and past participle dérobé. And the last part of this grammar is en utilisant la force. This is gerundium, le gerundif. And how do we create le gerundif? We have to use always en, and then that verb utiliser, we have to replace the ending with a, n, t. Creating en utilisant, that means using the force. Okay, so I hope this was very good for you to test your knowledge in the grammar, and I'm looking forward to post more and more of these grammatical expressions. Bye bye.